fuck? First half of the season is almost in the books, and the playoff push will be here before you know it. That's why today we've got 8 potential second half breakout candidates to help you on your quest for fantasy glory.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
How's it going, everybody? You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball. My name is Matt. You can find me over on X at Pick His Ass Up, one of my favorite phrases. As always, I've got my awesome co-host here, the Lord of the Onion Rings. That's right, it is Kyle. How's it going, buddy?
I do love onion rings and Funyuns too. Those are delicious as well.
Funyuns are
yeah, doing great. I see we got Dubo in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's just get into it, right? So we got 8 guys here total for you to talk about tonight. Second half breakout candidates. The guy on the thumb, I don't really think that this is a big shock at all. Talking about Julio Rodriguez, outfielder with the Seattle Mariners, 70th overall fantasy hitter and number 28 outfielder in standard Yahoo scoring. That's really not too bad, but last year through July 9th, he was outfielder number 8th and the 19th overall hitter. He's actually putting the ball in play plenty, scratching out enough base hits that he might actually finish the season with an unspectacular, but hardly, catastrophic batting average around 250, but understandably so. It's not what he was last year and not what you paid for this year, right? On Tuesday, he had a game where he just went off. He was 4 for 4 with a double, a solo shot, 2 ribbies, and 3 runs scored. It was just his 3rd multi-hit game since June 15th and just his 24th multi-hit game on the season and 91 games played. Last year, through 91 games played, he had 31 multi-hit games. So what's his stats differential between first halves of this season versus last year? I'll tell you. Same number of hits, 91, but 10 less doubles this year, 4 less home runs, 17 less ribbies, 9 less runs, and 4 less stolen bases. His batting average and OPS are nearly identical. However, it's his slugging that's really causing the issue here, almost 60 points lower this season. But he has struck out less and walked more so far this year. So while his first half season last year was amazing, he heated up in the second half last year. Last year in the second half from, July 14th, roughly, to the 1st of October, he was the fantasy outfielder number 3, overall hitter number 4. It's a nice 15-place improvement from the first half. Second half last year, he hit over 300. His on-base percentage went up 50 points, and his slugging improved 167 points, Matt, versus the first half. And I think he can heat up again this season. I'm not saying complete replication of last year, but I see some reasons for it to happen. He's putting in, some extra work to get that fixed. He's got a personal hitting coach with him. He's been working with Hall of Famer Edgar Martinez as well. Extra time in the batting cage as well. He'll figure it out eventually. Type of batted balls really hasn't changed much from last year, but it's where he's hitting the ball that's had the big effect on his production. He's just not pulling the ball this year. Last year, he was almost 40% pull rate. This year, 9% less. Must get back to that. And he's essentially swinging at everything thrown to him, right? Any pitch that comes in the zone, he swings 3 out of 4 times. And don't get me wrong, he's always been above average in his career on that, but he's over 8% higher than the league average this year. You are easy to pitch to when you do that, until he gets better pitch recognition, until this fatal flaw that he has going on is fixed, he is bound to keep struggling. Rodriguez has a chase rate of almost 38%, and he's in just the 6th percentile in that metric. So no matter if it's a fastball high or inside, he's swinging. Regardless if it's a slider away or a changeup low, he's swinging. When you swing at everything like that and consistently fall behind in the count, like 0-2 or 1-2, hitting becomes very challenging, even for somebody like Julio Rodriguez. And it's difficult to hit when he misses the few good pitches that he does get over the plate, right? His whiff rate is horrible. He's at almost 31%. He's in the bottom 15% among hitters in the league. And sure, He whiffed a bunch last year too, but he's over 2.5% worse this season. His StatCast power metrics, while still red, while still above average, are all worse than last year. So are his expected stats. They're all down year over year. So this is my radical idea for him. I'll wonder what you think, Matt. Send him to AA ball. I said radical, right? Not AAA at that level. Guys are kind of working on command and finesse. He just needs to see straight gas, homie. He needs to step into the batter's box every night and know there's not a pitcher in that game who can stand there and throw the ball past him. Confidence goes a long way, and he needs a boost, right? He's a mega star. He's bursting with talent. He's proven it through his first 2 seasons. You know, it's not like he forgot how to hit, right? Look for much better fantasy production in the second half.
All right. So we got a question in the chat here from Get Wrecked. Paul Skeens is a damn animal. What should I aim for if I were to want to trade him away? He's weak at outfield and shortstop. You are damn right. And since he got called up, Paul Skeens has essentially been the best pitcher in baseball. So if you're going to move him, you're looking for the elite talents at the position, either outfield or shortstop. If I'm moving Paul Skeens, I'm asking for Aaron Judge. I'm asking for Juan Soto. And I don't know that I'm going to take anything less than that because Paul Skeens is just that damn good.
Yeah. If I don't know what kind of type of league you're in, Get Wrecked, but I don't know. If you're in a points league, I'm holding him. I'm keeping him. Pitching so huge in points league, but God, he was amazing today. I didn't get to catch all of it. Just caught some highlights, but how many strikeouts did he have?
11 strikeouts.
I think, yeah. And he's got like 7 strikeouts in, I'd say 90% of his starts this year.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. 10-man points. That's toughy. I personally keep him, but I guess, I mean, what's your record looking like? Yeah. Towards the bottom, towards the top, that would be a part of my decision process as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if you do decide to move him, you're going to be able to improve your team. I mean, you could ask for, you know, a top end outfielder one, and if they've got a back end shortstop one, they might be able to come off of them. So don't sell yourself short. So he says he's worried about an innings limitation. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think you're going to be okay just given when he got called up. Now, as we get towards maybe the end of September, maybe they don't let him throw, 100 pitches. Maybe they pull him after 5 innings or something like that. But this dude is setting the league on fire. He's a draw. People come out to see him. So we'll see. And Pittsburgh has the makings of a nice little rotation there with him, Jared Jones, and Mitch Keller. That's an awesome top 3.
Yeah. Good luck. Get Wrecked. We got James Coffey in here with question 2. Thanks for stopping in, James. Looking to shore up his outfield with Tatis on the IL and Jordan day to day. Interested in Yelich, who seems to be having good counting stats for the week-to-week categories. Your thoughts?
Christian Yelich has been absolutely amazing this year. I think he's near the top of the NL in batting average. I think he's first in on-base percentage. He's not 40 home run Christian Yelich anymore, but that offense there in Milwaukee is one of the best in baseball, and he is an integral part of that offense. I think he is an awesome ad, and I've got Jordan in a league, and it seems like here lately he's just been bit by the injury bug, but it's just like little nagging stuff that, if it's allowed to linger, can actually start to zap some of his power. So I certainly understand wanting to upgrade there. I think Yelich is a fantastic candidate to shoot for, James.
Absolutely. Good luck, James. All right. Talking about a pitcher here next, another breakout candidate. This Giants pitcher just returned from the IL for a start on Tuesday, finally showcased a glimpse of the form he displayed last year with a fastball topping at 97.7 miles per hour, a season high for him. Can Mr. Snell return to form for the second half, Matt?
You know what? I certainly think so. And that dude looks constipated right there. You picked a
He-
hell of a picture there, buddy.
Thank you. Yep.
You know what? If I was going to make this analysis short and sweet, I would just say, go get him. But that wouldn't make for, good content. Nobody wants to just hear a 3-word analysis. So I'm going to run through what he's done so far this season. He started 7 games. He started 3 in April, 2 in May, 1 in June, and 1 so far this month. And across those 7 starts, he's 0-3 with an ERA of 7.85, which is not great. However, his FIP, xFIP, and expected ERA are all about 3 runs lower. He's got a whip of 175. He struck out 34, walked 17, given up 4 home runs in 28 2/3 innings pitched. And you look at that on the surface, it's not great overall, just being honest. But, here on this show, we like to open up the hood and see what the hell's going on. The strikeouts with him are nice. He's just under 25% and striking out almost 11 per 9. And he almost has more swinging strikes than called strikes, which you hardly ever see. And he's got an excellent whiff rate that's sitting just under 30%. However, it would be nice if he'd throw a strike on the first pitch every now and then. He's got just a paltry 55.5% first pitch strike rate. And if you're familiar with him at all, this dude walks way too many batters. Yet somehow he managed to win the Cy Young Award last season while leading the major leagues in walks allowed. This season isn't much better. He's walking almost 12% of batters, and he's got a career high 5.34 walks per 9. I mentioned he led the league in walks allowed last season, and he also had the lowest hits per 9 last year too, at just 5.8. This season, it's almost double that at 10.4. Taking a look at his contact metrics, his overall rate is up 8 points from last season, but it's still an excellent 72.2%. And his zone contact is just over 81% and also really damn good. Quality of contact is okay. He's pretty much league average in terms of exit velocity and hard hit rate, though the barrel rate is high at almost 9.5%. He also induces a good amount of weak contact at a little over a 4.5% rate. And just for reference, league average there is 3.9%. He's been more of a fly ball pitcher since 2021, but not heavily so. His rate's about 5 points above average, with his ground ball and line drive rates a couple points below. He's also getting pulled at the highest rate of his career, but remember, we're looking at a really small sample here. However, what's done is done. We're not going to dwell on the past anymore. We're here to talk about what's going down in the second half of the season. And looking at this cat, if you followed baseball at all over, we'll call it the past half dozen years, with this guy, he's either going to win the Cy Young or he's mid, and there is no in between. In the second half, this dude is Cy Young Blake Snell. His ERA is a 1.5 lower. His FIP is about a run lower. His xFIP a half a run lower. His walk rate drops 1.5, and he walks about a guy fewer per 9. His strikeout rate increases by about 3 points, and all of a sudden he hits that magical 20% K- walk rate. First half of the year, he pitches. He's mid Blake Snell, but I absolutely love second half Blake Snell. You can probably get his ass pretty cheap too, just considering how he's looked this season, as opposed to if he looked like he was in his normal midseason form. He is somebody that I am targeting for my teams, and I think you guys should be too.
Good stuff, man. What do we got next?
All right. So when the weather warms up in Texas, this first baseman heats up right along with it. What should we look for from Nathaniel Lowe in the season's second half?
Yeah, he had a late start, so he started the season on the IL, and it took him a little while to get going. He certainly isn't having a bad year. He just hasn't provided a ton of fantasy value, as he is just number 30 first baseman on the year. But I think that's likely to change in the second half, and it already has a bit since June 1st. Since June 1st, he's been rather solid: 283, 339, 443 slash line, 6 doubles, 4 homers, 18 driven in, and that moved him up to number 19 fantasy first baseman since June 1st. So, still not what you want, but the second half is when he's been at his best. He has a career first half slash line of 265, 348, 411, and with a OPS of 759. Career second half slash line 283, 364, a big jump in slugging to 467 for an OPS of 831. On the season, his strikeout rate's at 21.8. That's pretty much right at league average. Dude can take a walk, though. 11.4%, top 15% in the majors. He's got some pretty good plate discipline. It's helped by his ability to not chase balls out of the zone. His chase rate is just 25.6, above league average. Whiff rate, also very good. Just holy cow, man. It's 18.4%. It is the 26th best rate in the majors out of 142 qualified hitters. His StatCast power metrics, he has a top 40 bat speed of 73 miles an hour, has above average hard hit rate this year, but this is the second season in a row where it has dropped because he's a career mark of over 43%. Let's take a look at his barrel rate. Remember, barrels are any batted ball with exit velos of at least 98 miles an hour and at least 26-degree launch angle. His barrel rate is below average, probably about half. He's at 4.2%. Just like his hard hit rate, it's also worsened the last 2 seasons. Lowe's always hit an above average amount of ground balls, but this year it's climbed over 2% more than his career average. And his line drive rate is far below average this season. If he's going to turn this around in the second half, he's got to start hitting some more of those like he did the last few seasons. His saving grace for the second half here is his contact skills. They've just gotten better every year since 2019. Contact in the zone is 7% higher than league average and over 5% better than his career mark. And we say it all the time. Good things usually happen when the ball is put in play, and his above average 333 BABIP pretty much confirms that. He exploded in the second half 2 seasons ago in 2022, and I really think it can happen again. The Rangers lineup, while haven't lived up to expectations, it's full of hitters poised for bounce back second halves. Pretty like all of them. And he hits in the middle of that batting order, anywhere from 3 to 6. He should get plenty of run production, RBI opportunities. Look for him to heat up after the break.
I think that Texas team is going to be scary in the second half.
I think they'll start figuring it out here. So let's see. James, thanks for your Tuesday recommendation to drop James Wood and pick up Brandon Nimmo. 2 days on my team. Very happy. I have him in a league. Matt has him in another league as well. He's performed very well this week. I think he's over 30 in one of my.
Yeah, he got off to a slow start, and that scared a lot of people off, but that dude can play.
For sure. All right. Here we go. So next up, this power hitting infielder for the Astros. It's just the 14th best fantasy third baseman year to date. It appears he's already heating up, though, for the second half, as he is batting 294 over his last 20 contests compared to just 256 on the year. Matt, tell us more about Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman, and this dude, he is a special hitter, quite frankly. And I was really surprised that he started out the way that he did. Like you said, he's a number 14 third baseman so far this season. He was drafted as the 9th third baseman off the board, at an ADP of 82, though he had a massive range during draft season, going as early as 40th overall and as late as 116th. And when you look at the season-long numbers so far, they're not bad. He's got a 256 average, 317 on base, 413 slug. That puts his OPS at 730. He's went yard 11 times, got 18 doubles as well, and a couple triples, driven in 45, and he stole 2 bags. Really, the biggest difference we've seen from him this season is in his plate discipline. Even though his strikeout rate is up a tick from last year, it's still fantastic at just 13.2%. Swinging strike rate is sitting at just under 5.5%, which is on par with his career average and just crazy good. And his 13.3% whiff rate is among the best in the league. His walk rate has cratered, though, and that's led to the steep decline in his on-base percentage. And remember, when I say something like, his walk rate is cratered, it's all relative, right? It's down 5 points this season to a slightly below average 7.8. And there are plenty of batters in the league that would kill for that. But we're talking about a guy who for 2 years running has had more walks than strikeouts. His chase rate is still really good and in the top 25% of the league, but we're used to seeing him in the top 5%, right? So the underlying metrics look good, just not as good as what we're used to. And I think part of that is being driven by a more aggressive approach at the plate. Those 44.6% swing rate is a few points below league average. It's up about 6 points from last season, and his zone swing rate is following a similar pattern, up 4 points to 63%. His bat to ball skills are still really sharp. He's making contact at an 88% clip. That's fifth best in all of baseball. And his 92.5% zone contact rate has him comfortably in the top 20. Quality of contact, nowhere near as good. And that's really been the case since 2019. Now, it's not terrible, right? But he's got an exit velocity around 88.5 miles an hour, a hard hit rate just over 37%, and his barrel rate's only sitting at 4.6%. All three of those metrics are in the bottom third of the league. However, his weak contact rate is only 2.6%, which is well better than league average. So even if he's not blasting the ball, he's not out there limp dicking it either. His batted ball profile shows us that he's still mainly a fly ball and line drive hitter with a ground ball rate 7 points below average. His pop-up rate is also over 12%, and I'm almost wondering if part of that is the result of him pressing due to his initially very, very slow start of the season. He does a good job of using the whole field. He pulls the ball less than most, but keep in mind that the vast majority of his power is to the pull side. And as a matter of fact, he's got 118 home runs since the start of the 2019 season, and just 5 of those have gone to the opposite field. Why is he going to break out in the second half? Well, despite playing in 180 fewer games over his career in the second half, he's got 130 fewer strikeouts, just 50 fewer RBIs, 16 fewer home runs, 23 fewer doubles, and a batting average 30 points higher, as is his on base. His slugging is 75 points higher, and his OPS is 100 points higher. His strikeout rate is lower in the second half, and his home run to fly ball rate is 2 points higher. This dude is the textbook definition of a second half player. If you mentioned, look, he's been heating up a little bit over the past couple of weeks. He's somebody that, if you're hurting at third base or a corner infield spot and you're looking to improve and you're looking for some run production, he is a fantastic candidate.
He is. And, I don't know if he's a free agent next year. I wonder if he'll sign with the Astros, but he wants to look good and audition for
sure. Man's playing for a contract.
Yep, his last big bag probably, he's almost 31, I think. So 31. But heck yeah. All right.
So this Twins player has only 126 career plate appearances in the second half of the season, but he's a key part of the hottest team in the American League. Despite a low batting average lately, he's getting on base and driving in runs. Can Trevor Larnach keep it up after the break?
Man, I wish he would hit lefties. I wish they'd give him more chance to try and hit some lefties, but he's the number 96 outfielder in fantasy on the season. But since June 1st, he's dropped that down to number 69. But when he does start, he bats in the 2 or 3 hole, so getting you some more at-bats in fantasy is key on the season. Just 57 games played, 45 hits, 7 doubles, 9 homers, 30 driven in, 25 runs scored, a couple stolen bases on there as well. His slash line so far in the year is 238, 305, 418, and a 723 OPS. His slugging and OPS are both above the major league average. Expected stats of his batting average and slugging are both higher than his actuals, with his expected slugging 63 points higher and in the 82nd percentile. And that 238 batting average would be a career mark. And crucially, it feels sustainable, right? Strikeout rates at 21%, right at league average. He has made huge freaking strides in this department, 13% better than last year. Dude has just been attacked with breaking balls, breaking stuff in the years past. He's finally laying off these unhittable pitches and prolonging at bats because his walk rate's above average too at 9 flat. With a modest BABIP of 261, he's been incredibly unlucky. His average exit velocity on outs in play is 90.7%, or miles per hour, not percent, which is in the 99th percentile for all batters with at least 200 plate appearances over the last 4 seasons. When swinging, he is looking to do damage. His average exit velocity of 91.6 is the 34th best rate in the majors at over 250 hitters. Hard hit rate is above average too, along with a nice 10.2 barrel rate. Now, he has a problem with the whiffs, but he does have an above average chase rate at 27.3. The problem is when he does chase, his contact rate is not good at all. It's 10% worse than league average. Looking at some more plate discipline metrics, he appears to be a patient hitter. He's waiting on his pitch. He only swings at first pitch offerings 21% of the time, about 10% lower than league average. And he's predominantly a fly ball pull hitter. His pull rates are 7% higher than MLB average. So this guy he's already 27 years old, right? But he could simply, a lot of guys are like this sometimes, he could simply be a late bloomer coming into his prime. I think you could see a 20 or 25 home run season in the next year or two. I think it would hardly be a huge shock. He's very low owned in Yahoo. I suggest you put him on your watch list. Matt mentioned that offense he plays in. It's good. The Twins are 4th or 5th in runs on the year and top 5 in OPS too. So really exciting player to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you mentioned him not really getting the opportunity to hit against lefties. And I don't know, that almost seems like an organizational philosophy there with Minnesota. They just don't want to give people a chance to get better at it. And the only way you're going to get better at it is at bats against lefties.
Yeah, he's had 8 plate appearances versus lefties this season. It's just not enough. Let's see. I mean, and he's getting more playing time. Kirilloff's, gone or shipped off, and Kepler pretty much takes up a lot of things. What's the other guy there?
Buxton.
He's
always hurt.
Yeah, that guy too. Wallner too, but he's a lefty and sits as well. So, all right. Okay, next up. This Guardians multi-position player has impressed with some great slugging numbers, but at the same time strikes out just as much as Matt did when he tried to pick up women back in the day. Matt, can Noel make a difference in the second half?
Yeah, I noticed how you didn't even try and say his first name. You just said Noel.
No, Jhonkensy. I know.
There you go. Name. Anyways, silence. Anyways, so this 22-year-old rookie is the Guardians' number 25 overall prospect. And obviously, we don't have a lot to go off of for him since he's only played in 11 major league games, but he's not doing awful so far. Got a 241 average, on base just over 300, but he's got a 586 slug. That's given him an 889 OPS. He's gone yard 3 times, chipped in a double, and he's driven in 5 across 33 plate appearances. The power, it's legit. He had 45 home runs in 203 games at AAA between last season and early this season. However, I'm going to tell you right now, his 39.5% strikeout rate is not going to fly. Nor will his 18.2% swinging strike rate, and the whiff rate is at 31.5. And just in case we've not discussed it before, we talk about swinging strike rate and whiff rate, but what the hell is the difference? Well, whiff rate is based off of the number of swings that result in a miss, and the swinging strike rate is based off the number of pitches that result in a swing and miss. So it's just a different denominator, but we're still looking at the same thing. He's carried high K numbers in the minors as well, but that's to be expected from this kind of player archetype. He will draw a walk, but hasn't done so too often to this point in his professional career. His walk rate's at 6.1% this year in the show, though it was a little bit higher during his time in the minors. But holy shit, does this guy make good contact. He's got a 92.5 mile-an-hour exit velocity, a 115.5 max EV, a hard hit rate just under 53%, and a barrel rate at 23.5. Now, obviously, these are going to come down, but it's nice to see. That's also backed up by his prospect grades. He's got 60 game power and 80 raw power. Hit tool, just a 40 though. This dude ain't gonna win a batting title in any of our lifetimes. But he reminds me a lot of Franmil Reyes, who also used to play for the Guardians. He had 35 plus home run power, but a low average. And now I think he's kicking it around over in Asia somewhere. We know he can smoke the ball when he hits it, but how often is he actually hitting it? Well, he's just under a 70% contact rate, which is no bueno. And for those of you that don't habla Espanol too good, that means that shit ain't good. But that's to be expected. However, his zone contact rate is almost at 90%, and he's very aggressive with pitches in the zone, swinging at damn near 75% of them. And as a matter of fact, this guy is just crazy aggressive overall. He swings at over 60% of the pitches he sees, so he's going to need to work on his plate discipline. You know where else he's aggressive? Pitches outside the zone. Got a chase rate over 50%, which is just insane and unsustainable if he wants to stay in the majors. He's been at over 40% in AAA the past 2 years as well, so that's definitely an opportunity for him. Taking a glance at his batted ball profile, he's an extreme fly ball hitter. What do I mean by extreme? Dude's fly ball rate's over 47%. Guess what else is over 47%? His pull rate. This dude is an old school power hitter. He's hit anywhere between 3rd and 7th in the lineup, and he's getting a legit shot to make it. Just understand you're going to need to have other players on your roster to either make up for the points you lose from the high strikeouts or to help make up for the low average or on base percentage. But if you're just looking for straight power, this dude could break out like no one else.
Yeah. Cleveland's a good team too. Although my Tigers, I think, just took 3 out of 4 from them.
Yes, they did.
That was nice. It was very nice. You got to talk now, or?
You said there was a question in the chat.
There is a question in the chat. Let me just get with that. James is back. Worried about the crochet innings limit. Everyone is. He's hold on. That was get wrecked. Stand by, James. Week to week categories. Do you like Paul Skeens or Glass now? Particularly better during playoff time.
So Tyler Glasnow has his career high of innings pitched is like 120, and he's just under that right now. He just went on the IL. I don't necessarily believe he's actually hurt. The Dodgers kind of have a reputation for manipulating the IL just to get some extra rest and stuff like that. But coming out of the All-Star break, we're going to be in uncharted territory for him. He has that long injury history, but he has been just friggin' lights out so far this year. It sounds silly to say it, but I think the rookie is the safe play here. Skeens has just been better than advertised, and I don't even know if that was even possible. But yeah, Glass now, I'm a little worried, and there's a reason why he's got glass in his name, because it seems like that's what he's made out of a lot of times.
Okay. We got some more questions in the chat here. I'm guessing some breakout candidate questions. Chris Bryant, Brandon Drury. God, this thing keeps moving on me. Eddie Buzz in the chat. How about Chris Bryant, Brandon Drury, or Josh Lowe? I know we had discussed Josh Lowe a minute for doing this show. We went with his brother instead, Nathaniel, but you got any thoughts on those guys? Chris Bryant's
Chris Bryant is a non-entity to me.
Yeah, he's done.
Between Brandon Drury and Josh Lowe, I would take Josh Lowe. I was really impressed with what we saw from him last year with that power and speed combination. I don't know. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that Tampa Bay offense being as bad as it's looked at a lot of times this season. I think that team is another team that's going to perform a lot better in the second half. They got to get some things worked out with their rotation. The Angels are going nowhere fast. And so with Drury, like, my concern is going to be from a run production standpoint. Of the two, I would take Lowe. Drury's not a bad option, though, if you want to take a flyer on somebody. Chris Bryant can pound sand.
I have Josh Lowe rostered on 2 of my teams, and I'm holding on. I want to see him do something big in the second half. So Eddie says he's in an 18-team league,
Holy
504
shit.
deep, 13 hitters, 9 pitchers, 6 reserves, no ice. Oh, shame. No IL spots. Ugh, 1,000 per team.
Now that's a league, brother.
That's a league.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's a nice payday if you win that, baby.
Hell yeah, it is. It's like $1 million.
Heck yeah. Okay.
All right. So this young Cubs player already, hit the wrong button there. This young Cubs player already has a ton of pop in his bat and the strikeouts to go with it. We know Wrigley Field plays much differently in the summer. Can Christopher Morel improve on his already impressive power and run production output in the second half?
I should certainly hope so. I drafted him this year in our home league, and I slapped a contract on him too because I got him cheap for like $4 or something. And he started out pretty well and then just kind of tanked since then. I'm hoping for a big second half from him. In 91 games played, he's got 64 hits, 6 doubles, 1 triple, 16 homers is good, 47 driven in, 39 runs, and 7 stolen bases. He's got a 680 OPS. His expected stats show that he can be, even better. His expected batting average is 50 points higher, and his expected slugging is almost 90 points higher than his actuals. Now, you mentioned the strikeouts. That's a thing, right? He's at over 24%. He is in the bottom third of hitters. Makes up for it a bit with an excellent walk rate of 11.2, putting him in the top 17% of hitters. BABIP is horrible, right? And he's been super. It's like a super duper unlucky, right? It's just 220, Matt. The league average is somewhere right around 289 this year. He's, seemingly traded some quality of contact for the improved plate discipline. He's never been, a great contact hitter. He's still below average, but he has improved his contact in the zone a few percent, and his contact when he chases, he's improved it double digits over last year. Let's take a look at his StatCast power metrics. First, his bat speed, excellent. It's at 76.3 miles an hour, 7th in the majors. For some comparison, he's just a half mile an hour less than Aaron Judge and is better than Gunnar Henderson, Julio Rodriguez, Jordan, and Shohei Ohtani. His barrel rate and hard hit rate are both in the 73rd percentile or better, and his exit velocity is above league average too. Now, while those are still very good, all 3 have seen a decrease year over year. Swing and miss. So when you look at his whiff rate, it's at 31.8 this season. It's pretty alarming. But what if I told you he was over 37% last year? So while it still sucks, still a nice improvement. He has improved his chase rate year over year. Last year, he was below average at almost 29%. Much better this season, above average. He's in the 70th percentile on StatCast. Still an above average fly ball pull hitter. That has not changed. But this year, career low line drive rate of just 17.1%. He needs to hit a lot more of them, man. Line drives turn into hits way more often than fly balls. His launch angle is up over 14 degrees this year after mostly being, average in his short career. And while that launch angle bump has surely added him, a couple extra home runs, it's caused him to pop up almost 11% of the time. That's way above league average. You just can't give opponents easy outs like that. That shit pisses me off in fantasy. But I'm a believer in him. Like I said, I slapped a contract on him this year. I choose to believe in the elite skills he has. I bet those batted balls in play are going to turn into more hits in the second half. Little buyer beware there. He's got a legit bottom out potential because of his near worst in the league defense, right? His fielding run value is -8. It's in the bottom 1%. So if he doesn't start hitting, there's definitely a playing time risk there.
Yeah, they need to Roger Dorn his ass.
Yeah. Damn you. Anything in the chat?
Nope.
All right. One more guy for you. We're talking a catcher this time. The switch hitting Mariners backstop hit 2 home runs the other night from both sides of the plate and leads all catchers in home runs since the beginning of the 2022 season. Matt, can Cal Raleigh heat up in the second half?
Oh, absolutely. They call him the big dumper, but don't confuse that with the magical behind. That's somebody else. And he had a hell of a second half last season, and it kind of kept it up this year. Batting average is not great at 208, and he's got an on base under 300. Slugging is nice at 409, though. He's gone yards 17 times, 5 doubles, 55 driven in. Surprisingly, has 5 stolen bases. Um, He's a Mariner, so if you're wondering if he strikes out a lot, the answer would be a resounding yes. As a matter of fact, he leads the league with 111 strikeouts coming into play today. He's got a swinging strike rate over 13% and a whiff rate over 30. His overall strikeout rate is at 32.6. That's not great. He will take a free pass if offered one, though. He's got a 10.5% walk rate, and that puts him in the top quarter of the league. His quality of contact is outstanding. 15.7% barrel rate, a hard hit rate pushing 54%. Both of those are in the top 5% of the league. His exit velocity isn't far behind either. That 92.6 mile an hour mark puts him in the top 7%. He does hit his fair share of weak contact, though. His 4.2% rate is more than most. In terms of overall contact, dude is below average. His contact rate is just over 74%, and his contact rate in the zone is just under 83. Both of those are about 3 points below the average big leaguer. You can fool him, too, according to his nearly 31% chase rate. This dude, another one, not going to win a batting title anytime soon. Like Jhonkensy, Noel, Cal Raleigh is a fly ball hitter, sitting at a 36.1% rate. That's 13 points higher than league average. His ground ball rate is 10 points below, and his line drive rate is about 4 points below. He also pulls the ball a ton, well over 45%. That's how we get the power, right? Lift and pull. He has 60 more games played in the first half than the second half of his career and 244 more plate appearances. Despite that, he has just 6 fewer home runs, 42 fewer RBIs, and the same amount of doubles. He's also got a higher average, slugging, OPS, and ISO in the second half. His walk and strikeout rates are both a little bit worse, though, but we already know who this dude is. And that Mariners team is something else this year. I mean, they lead the Major League Baseball in strikeouts as a team, yet they're still holding on to that division lead. And just like how you talked about Julio Rodriguez earlier, if he can regain even 90% of that second half form that he showed last year, and if Cal Raleigh can either continue what he has done or follow those same second half trends that we've seen from him earlier in his career, that team is going to be a menace. Now, Cal Raleigh is not going to be cheap to acquire. And, again, I think I said this on Tuesday. I'll say it again. Outside of your top 4 or 5 options, catcher is a crapshoot. I would put Cal Raleigh inside that top 4 or 5, but I think there is some meat left on the bone when you look at what he's done so far in the first half compared to what I think he's going to do in the second half. I think he is an awesome target.
Heck yeah. We got some action in the chat here, bud. Hey, says, hoping you guys suggest Burger due for a breakout. And I commented and I was like, yeah, we talked about it, but the team context we just hated. So we liked some other players better, but he was definitely somebody on our pre-list, I should say.
Yeah. He's the power with him is real. Just when you look at that Marlins team, it gets kind of old when you're only driving in yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. We got Verlis in the chat here. Welcome to the show. Rank these stashes: Jeffrey Springs, Robbie Ray, Kershaw, or Kodai Senga.
I'm going to go Senga, Ray, Kershaw, Springs. I know a couple of years ago, everyone was really hype on Jeffrey Springs, and he showed that he can be great, but just for a very little bit of time.
Yeah.
and coming back from surgery like that, the velo is the first thing to come back. Then, then you get the command a little bit later on. I've always kind of been a big Robbie Ray guy. Even when he was back with the Tigers, I saw something in him, and Kodai Senga looked absolutely amazing last year. I don't see any reason why he can't give you similar results this season once he gets back and going. Kershaw, he's an old man, but he's that cagey vet.
Yeah.
I think those first three are decent options. Jeffrey Springs, I don't know. I would want to see a little bit more from him before I'd want to invest.
Yeah. So we only talked about one pitcher. It was Blake Snell. Eddie's like, how about some pitchers? Any other second half guesses, candidates for pitcher? Pablo Lopez jumps to mind, even though he's been pretty good. I think he could be even better in the second half.
Yeah, and he's been somebody frustrating to roster this season, and I'll raise my hand and say I'm one of those folks. You saw kind of the linear growth from him from when he was in Miami, and then he gets traded to Minnesota, and last year he turns into this just strikeout machine. I would keep an eye too on the Guardians overall. Their rotation is a damn mess, and they're throwing pretty much everything they can at the wall to see what sticks.
Sure.
But they've also got a fantastic history of developing pitchers.
They do.
And so, even if you see someone who doesn't look great on the surface, if they're giving them a chance, it's almost like the appeal to authority fallacy, right? Well, they know what they're doing, so I'll trust them. And that's, we're hoping all of you do that too. But it's worth a flyer, really.
It is. Yeah, Cleveland does good. I mean, Ben Lively was pretty much a middling guy his whole career, and he's went there and he's had his best season. So they're doing something right there in Cleveland, even though I hate any team that's in Ohio. Get Wrecked is back in the chat. Here's a question. DeGrom versus Kershaw coming out of their respective injuries.
That is a good one. I think I'm going to take DeGrom on that. I think just at where both of them are in their careers, DeGrom is just the better pitcher. However, Kershaw is going to have the probably a better team context overall around him, but I'd go DeGrom on that.
Heck yeah. Eddie agrees with you. He says DeGrom too. So
hey, dude, Eddie's been in the same league for 31 years. Take his word as a gospel.
That's right. All right. If you guys didn't know, we do fantasy football too. We just had a live stream on Sunday. Check that out. There's the just Stoned On Sports Fantasy Football. If Matt was on it, he could put the link in the chat. So I guess I'll do it for you guys. But check that out. We had to start that channel because YouTube just didn't like us posting football and baseball on the same channel. But we're going to get out of here for tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and available on Spotify, Apple, and more. Have a great night, everybody, and stay stoned.
See you next Tuesday. Oh, wow. That's kind of a shitty preview.